What's up, world? It's T Davis. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss a single episode of On the Top Coat. That button right there. Come for the nails while we talk a little bit. First things first, art.
Mm-hmm.
Art is important to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Would you say so?
Yeah.
Okay, art is important to you. Why is it important to you?
I think so myself, I'm the oldest of 5 children, and I grew up very poor. We grew up in like a 1-bedroom apartment.
Okay.
So there was not many things that I could do or have that was like a stress relief or for myself. So my father used to draw cartoons, and so I decided, like at an early age, I would just find myself, like my parents found me doodling all of the time.
Okay.
Yeah, and then when I was in kindergarten, my art teacher, Miss Fuchs, she saved one of my paintings, and she told my parents that they should actually take it seriously.
Invest in your art dream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hence me meeting you later on.
Right.
Going to art and design.
True.
So yeah, then, after a while it became, it's like when you go to school for something, it becomes like a job or a chore. It's no longer for love or for passion or stress relief.
Okay.
So it wasn't really until the pandemic that I even started painting again. So after graduating high school, I wasn't actively drawing or painting, actually.
So you kind of got your full of it.
It wasn't even I wasn't doing it anymore for what I initially started doing it for. It wasn't like, it didn't feel like stress relief anymore. It was like, now I'm in a school where they're teaching you how to do it correctly,
right,
instead of like from the place of me just doing it because I wanted to.
Okay.
And so then after graduating school, it was like, oh, I'm okay, life's fine. I got me a little job. I got me a little money.
Right.
I don't need to draw.
Circumstances change.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not stressed anymore. I don't need to do this.
Okay.
And then the pandemic happened, and now we're all in the house.
Okay.
I'm like, I guess I could draw.
Okay.
And then during the pandemic, my mom actually moved out, so it was just me and my siblings.
Okay.
All over again in the house by ourselves, and we all just went back to finding our hobbies. My brother started working with like music artists to develop their portfolio. My sister my sister started doing storytelling through art, and like for artists, giving them the chance to, like, they can tell her what their artwork is about, and she would write their their
excerpts?
Yeah, their excerpts for them, for galleries and for the biographies and for their website. So from then, it kind of kicked off again. So
you would say it was your outlet from your circumstance.
Yeah.
Okay. When your circumstance changed, was that the initial start of the break from art, or was it the fact that you went to school for it and then it forced you to take a break?
Yeah, I think it was school, because even after graduating high school, I went to Parsons for a little bit, and
shout out to Parsons.
Right, in school.
Right.
And that just doubled down on technique and critique, and it was like, oh, this is not what I signed up for.
Okay.
Like, I remember there was like this one small thing where you had to like draw a watermelon.
Okay.
And the whole thing about art is that it's open to interpretation. I always say that someone can't be a bad artist, because that is the whole thing with art.
Right.
There's people who we think they're bad artists, and the whole time that's their signature. Like,
right,
that's what someone's paying $1.2 million for, and you're like, what? That's just a triangle, or that's just like, you know, you're like, or that's just like smushed banana, like, you know. So art has always been open for anyone to be able to do, because it is your interpretation of what you see. That's what art is. So then when you go to school for it and they're teaching you technique, sometimes it can take away from your interpretation of reality, or how you see things, or how you are putting what you see to reality. And that's how, like, the famous artists that we see Picasso, his mental health helped him create his signature that we know and we love today.
Right.
So imagine he went to a school for it and they're like, oh, you can't, because Cubism didn't exist before he created it.
It didn't.
So if he went to school for it and they're like, oh no, this is not how the technique is to draw. Right. He might have said either forget this whole thing or he would leave the school.
Right, he worked at the post office.
Exactly.
Okay, I got
well,
you.
not him, but
right.
But even like anyone that we look at, Leonardo DiCaprio, there's so many people where their most famous pieces are like original or distorted, and it's because it's your outlet on how you see reality. So schools sometimes, because they want to make sure that you know how to, like, the original formation of it, can take away from that.
So let me ask you this. So what I'm hearing is, I think you're on the auspices of there isn't a correct way to be an artist.
No. And literally, if you're saying to yourself, like, oh, I wish I could draw, you can draw.
Right.
If you can draw a circle, that means you can draw a grape. If you can draw a circle, you can draw an orange. So everyone can draw. Okay. And everyone can get better at drawing or painting. It's something. It's one of those things that if you do it enough, you will automatically get better. I'm sure when you first started doing nails or gelics, it's not the same as what you're doing.
That was horrible. that was pretty bad. For real.
Yeah, but what we do is we look at someone else doing it, and someone's going to be watching or looking at your page and saying like, oh man, like I wish I could do nails as well as him, or I wish I could do designs as well as so-and-so. And really, if you're just consistent at it, you can. And art is one of those things as well.
Well, I mean, they could try.
They ain't you though, right?
Nah, it's the unreachable level right here, unfortunately. No, but I do agree. I do think that oftentimes the discipline of art takes away from its freedom of expression, in which that leads to people to go into the tundra, right? So they'll kind of stray away from it, and not really being able to embrace the abstractness of whatever it is that they're creating, right? Because everybody interprets art different. I think that's the biggest thing. But I do think sometimes schools do forget that part. Right. They forget the part of I'm expressing it this way. Yes, I understand the guidelines and all this, but this is how I express it. I do think I agree with you. I do agree.
Yeah. And it is important to know, but just for myself, it was just like, I can do other things. I'm ready to start working and doing other things. And then, I started with the whole fashion and stuff. So it was just like, oh, I'm ready to kind of like close this chapter and venture out to see what else the world